Everdream Village looks gorgeous, but is it worth your time? In this video, I will share with you my experience in playing the first 3 hours of the game, what I liked, and why I stopped playing after only 3 hours and honestly don't want to play anymore. I got a review copy of the game around 3 days before its early access release, so some things here may still change and improve once it's out to the public. Also, since it's early access, it means this game will still continuously be developed before the game's 1.0 version. Anyway, Everdream Village is a sequel to Everdream Valley. In this game, your character has already graduated from school and they've been chosen to become a mayor of an island. As the mayor, you have a cat companion named Rads who helps you figure out what to do and how to make your town better, and your main task is to entice people to move into your town from other islands. My first quest was to fix the fences so the town looks more presentable for future visitors. In order to do that, I needed to consult with my grandpa who gave me a workshop, a hatchet, a hammer, and the recipe for a fence and a gate. The first thing I noticed are the tutorials. Unlike before, the tutorials appear on the upper left corner of your screen. If you want to put it in full screen, you can by holding the control button. This is good because the tutorials won't be too intrusive. A lot of tutorials will appear throughout the game, and having them on the upper left corner isn't going to block your vision at all, which is nice. But the problem with this is that you can't skip or close the tutorial unless you put it on full screen or unless you go through every single page. And this game really will bombard you with a lot of tutorials, and I didn't see any option to turn it off. As you can see on the upper left corner right now, there's a bunch of tutorials that I unlocked all at once. I got the tutorial on how to use an axe, how to use my fishing rod, and how to use the magic hat. And as you can see, there's no option to skip tutorials from the window mode. I still needed to go into full screen mode in order to skip it. I wish there would be a skip button even when it's in window mode, not just in full screen mode. In order to chop down trees for the fences, you need to equip your axe and hit the trees. I really like how the wood automatically goes into your inventory. The tree trunks do linger for a bit before despawning, which can get in your way sometimes. It was here that I discovered that unlike in Everdream Valley, you are able to use your ability to transform into an animal right away using a magic hat. This ability is what sets this game apart from other farming sim games. Another thing is that in most activities that you need to do, like crafting, cooking, milking the cows, or anything else, you need to do a little minigame in order to complete the task. For example, for crafting, I needed to connect all the pieces together in order to actually craft something. There are pictures for guides and this is quite fun to do. Some crafting recipes are more difficult than others, but they are all manageable. The good thing is that after you've already crafted something once, you'll have an option to instant craft it. So you don't need to do the minigame all the time, just on your first time. You can still do it the long way if you prefer, but for me, I just want to do it for the first time and then instant craft the others. After I crafted my fences, I started filling up the holes in the cow pen. But I was distracted by a dialogue on how to catch bugs because there are a lot of butterflies in this area. I just ignored it and continued building my fence. I accidentally put one fence offset and I needed to use my axe to disassemble this one. Take note that after disassembling your fence, you will get the materials back, but for some reason, I did not get the materials I used to craft the fence. When I disassembled it, I got 2 planks. In order to make the fence, I had to use wood, not planks, which was kinda weird. After fixing the animal pen, I also fixed my kitchen. After that, I had no more quests in my journal. But from the minimap, I can see that I needed to talk with my mom and my grandpa. My mom tasked me with finding a picnic spot and clearing it up so we can have a picnic. And grandpa gave me a butterfly net for catching bugs and butterflies. This is where I started looking at my inventory more. Your inventory is actually quite large in this game and I really like that. I have never encountered my inventory getting full just yet, so it seems like it is unlimited. I'm not sure if it has a limit though, but your inventory is split into 2 parts. The topmost row are the ones that you can easily access from your hotbar. However, the items in the top area are also in the bottom areas, which confused me at first. Basically, you are just assigning shortcuts for the items and not really moving them. Since your inventory seems quite large, a quick sort button will be very helpful here. Another thing I noticed is that I have some duplicate equipment and I don't know why. I have 2 swords and 2 hammers. This problem actually continues throughout the game. I kept getting more and more equipment as the game progresses for some reason. I started heading to the picnic area and started clearing some of the overgrown bushes when I saw a bison that I needed to follow. It was quite fast and I lost it at some point, but I just followed the red quest marker on the map. You can see from this screen though that the map can get a little bit crowded. You do have an option to turn off the animals or the people from your map, but I kept mine as it is. While following the bison, I decided to test out my bug net and caught some butterflies. I didn't see any stamina bars, so I just continuously spammed my bug net hoping to catch more bugs. The bison led me into a beautiful place with a lake. I decided to try befriending the bison, so I gave it some grass. I have no idea what this quest was about though. I feel like this place is going to be important in the future, but the side quest ended there and I had to go back to Mom, where I got the first quest that was a little confusing. Mom said that there would be chairs and tables around that I need to gather, and I can use my wood cutting skills to make a few if needed. The tutorial that appeared for me right after getting the quest was how to prepare the boards. In my mind, I wanted to just make the tables and the chairs myself, so I started cutting down wood. But I actually saw a table and some chairs while doing that, so I put those in my inventory. I made boards using another minigame, which is a simple timing game where I needed to click the buttons at the right timing, which was quite easy. Then, I went to the workshop to build additional tables and chairs. But unfortunately, I did not have the recipe for it, so I was quite at a loss on what to do. Apparently, the recipe for that did not appear because there were still some chairs lying around in the area. After I got all of the chairs and tables, I got the continuation of the quest to go back to my mom. She said she was too busy and can't talk right now, so she led me to Grandpa, who finally gave me the recipes for a lunch table and a chair, and another hatchet and hammer to go with it. I was finally able to make my table and chair, but I do think that this part might be confusing. Some players might miss the scattered chairs and wonder why the recipe hasn't appeared yet, so the quest flow needs a little more work. I placed all of the chairs and tables in this beautiful picnic area, but I still had to convince everyone to come, including the newly arrived merchant. I first got a hold of Grandpa, who wanted me to look for a missing cow named Willow who escaped from her pen with her boyfriend. As you can see on the right corner of my screen, I have a list of tracked quests there, and the new quest I got from Grandpa went to the topmost part of the quest list. This might not seem like a big deal now, but let's continue to pay attention to it as we get more quests from other people. The next person I talked to was Grandma, who wanted me to help her with her fields. Now look at my tracked quest. The original quest is already gone because the logic of the game is that the new quest will be automatically prioritized and pinned at the top. I don't know if it's just me, but this distracted me a lot while I was playing, especially since this game really involves a lot of quests all going on at the same time. You can easily repin the quests you are trying to do from your journal, but this can happen several times, and if I'm not paying too much attention, I tend to forget what I was trying to do in the first place. 1 minute I'll be doing one thing, then I will not be able to complete it because there are 2 or 3 more new quests that appeared, and now it's the one I can see on my screen, so my easily distracted brain will move on to that, and this can all easily feel overwhelming. If I recall correctly, I had the same trouble with Everdream Valley, but back then, I wasn't able to tell why I was always so overwhelmed when I played it. But now I think I know why. I know that a lot of people enjoyed that game though, but for me, this small detail can easily make the game not feel as cozy as it should be, and I feel like it's worth mentioning. I would prefer if the original quest can remain pinned until it's finished, or until I change it myself manually. Anyway, the next person I invited was the merchant who introduced me to his nephew and a little girl named Natalie. And this is another thing. Since I made progress on my original picnic quest, which was to talk to the merchant, the quest appeared on my screen again. This constant change to the pinned quest is just not good for my brain and I didn't like it. The other person I needed to invite was my dad, who wanted me to look for mystery bones. He gave me a terraforming tool to help with that. I do appreciate that there are different colored markers for different quests, and you can deactivate all the other markers to focus on the ones you want. I then decided to go with Grandma's quest first and plowed some land beside the vegetables. I really like how this one works. I can simply hold the button and increase the vegetable area. It was also easy to erase extra land without any extra animation or fuss. To plant vegetables, you will use the crops itself and you can place it anywhere in the plowed land. Watering was also easy and fast. I also harvested some vegetables for Grandma. On my way to another quest, I stumbled upon Natalie who asked for some spare boots. Dad's quest required me to transform into a dog so I can follow the scent similar to the bone he gave me. This is such a cool feature, but I did not understand how to follow the scent lines at all. The scent sometimes disappear and I had a hard time trying to figure out where it was trying to lead me. After going in circles for a while, I just decided to start digging near the strongest scents. I ended up digging quite a large area before I was able to finally found the mystery bone. The scent mechanic and terraforming tool definitely needs more work in my opinion. I found Willow, her boyfriend, and their kid near the beach, so I transformed into a dog to make them follow me all the way back to my farm. I can also feed them grass in my human form and they will follow me, but I think this scene is much more adorable. Just look at them all with the gorgeous water in the background. I was mostly finished with my tasks, so I talked to Grandma again, thinking that the picnic will finally start, but she asked me to cook dishes for the picnic. Grandpa also asked me to milk the cow, and Dad wanted me to look for more mystery bones. Emil also had a weird request from me. He wanted to help me in my farm just so he could get away from his uncle's business. We agreed that he can help me chop down trees that I will mark with my tape. I went to the cow pen first to get some milk for my grandpa, but the only option I had was to feed the cow or pet it. This got me confused at first, but I eventually found a bucket in my inventory and I was able to use that to get milk through another minigame. After I got a milk bucket, I noticed that I lost my empty bucket. However, I still had an option to milk the cow again, so I just got more for good measure, but I do think this is a bug. After milking the cow, I needed to give it to Grandpa, but the minimap was not showing the quest marker above Grandpa's head, which was strange. There were also other instances like this where the quest marker was not consistent and you have to figure out where to go yourself. Luckily, Grandpa was nearby, but he did not get the milk from me automatically. Thankfully, I remembered that after milking the cow, the game gave me a tutorial on how to trade with other people. I was able to give the milk to Grandpa via the gifting option from the trade menu. I think this is another quest that can leave some people confused, especially if you do a lot of other quests before giving the milk to Grandpa. I was off to mark the trees for Emil when Rads told me that I also need to make sure that the animals are happy and that I should do the quests for animals too. Then I cooked the vegetable soup for Grandma. The minigame here reminds me of a mobile game I forgot the title of, and again, there is an instant cook option after you did the minigame once. I placed the food in the picnic area and wanted to talk to the animals first before inviting everyone for the picnic. However, I wasn't getting any option to talk to the cows, so I went back to inviting people. The picnic was again interrupted with some noise apparently, but I did not hear any noise from the game when I was playing. I went to investigate the source of the noise and there was a passed out fisherman there. I gathered medicinal herbs for him using my dog's scent tracker. This part took me a long time again since I really couldn't understand how this one works. But I appreciate the trail lines that appear above the herb itself when I finally found its location. I made a healing potion and gave it to the fisherman, who just stood up and started walking away. Very rude. I had to catch up to him and talk to him so I can get to know his story. He told me he would meet me at the village, so I decided to look for the mystery bones first. Thankfully, this one had markers on the map, so I just went to the general location of those markers and dug around randomly to find the bones. I gave up on following the dog scent trails at this point, but I still used the dog form to run a little faster. While I was on my dog farm, I noticed that I can talk to the chicken. Apparently, I can talk to the animals when I'm in this farm. The chicken wanted me to track down their missing golden eggs, and my map just became really crowded after that. I also talked to the cows who wanted me to plant some flowers in their pasture. I didn't want to get distracted though, so I continued collecting mystery bones first. After collecting 7 out of 8 bones, I actually got confused because when you get close to a quest area, it turns into a yellow circle and the marker disappears. I ended up digging around this beautiful hill thinking the last bone was here. But apparently, the yellow circle here was for the golden egg quest. I ended up destroying the area for nothing. So, I disabled all other quests except for the mystery bone to finally finish that quest. After I was finished with that one, I found all of the golden eggs next before returning to my workshop to craft the mystery creature and gave it to Dad. Then I gave the eggs to the chicken. So now it's time to help the cows. I planted some scarlet clovers and daisies in their pen, and Reds was happy, reminding me to also help the animals, not just the people. The last quest in my journal is to buy boots from the merchant to give to Natalie. But again, the merchant was not pinned in my map, and I had 2 villagers with hats. So it was actually quite confusing. I didn't know who was who. So I talked to the fisherman first before finally finding the merchant. The merchant was selling boots, which I got and gave to Natalie. She then wanted to go on an adventure, and this is where the game teaches us that we can make NPCs follow us. It said that I needed to bring Natalie to the forest, but I stopped to talk to my mom first. I said, "Hey, I'm back. I rescued the village fisherman." And then I found out that they already started the picnic without me. I don't even know when they started the picnic, but from this dialogue, they were all eating without me. Mom said there's still plenty left, but everyone is not on the picnic grounds anymore. So I was so sad that I missed the whole picnic thing, especially since I worked hard to make that happen, and they had the audacity to just start and finish it without me. So I just brought Natalie to the forest where I saw something move in the bushes. Then suddenly, Natalie was gone from my sight, and my new quest was updated to follow Natalie, but I didn't know where she went. So I just looked at the minimap and followed her icon. Thankfully, I knew what her icon looked like. After I found her, Natalie just sprinted all the way to the beach. Look at how she runs. She just sprinted and left me after I found her. I eventually caught up to her finally, and she said, "Look, tiny kittens. They're so cute. I would give my life to them. Can you take them home?" But she just continued running, and I don't know where the tiny kittens are at. It was so weird. I got left alone, so I just looked at the minimap again and saw that there are kittens where I originally found Natalie before she started sprinting off like I'm a monster. I got distracted by a tree filled with bees. It was quite easy to catch them, and I ended up with hundreds of bees. I didn't know how to use them or where to use them, and it seemed like they cost $0 though. Anyway, I found the kittens and I started petting them. Unlike the cows, I didn't need to feed them anything. I just needed to pet them, and they followed me all the way to the village. Once I was back, everyone had a new quest for me after they all enjoyed the picnic without me. Grandpa asked me to find a strange cow, the fisherman asked me to find his belongings, Grandma wanted me to search for colorful corn, and Emil wanted me to gather wood for the bridge. I decided to start gifting everyone vegetable casserole because as far as I know, the villagers will help you as long as they are happy. So I gave everyone a meal, but I had no idea what they thought of it. I did not see their happiness level increase, and I did not see it decrease either. So I don't know if they liked it or not, or if it was a neutral gift or anything. So I just searched for the weird corns and the strange cow. I made the strange cow follow me all the way back to the cow pen. I think Grandpa wanted me to milk the cow. He was asking me, "Did you check what it has in its udders? Is it chocolate?" So I thought I was supposed to milk the cow, but I did not have any empty bucket anymore. The only bucket I had was a bucket with milk in it, and I had no recipes to craft a bucket, so I had no idea how to continue with that quest. So I just focused on another task, which was to get all of the fishermen's belongings. One of them was underneath the water and I had to fish it. For fishing, I don't know if it's just me, but I had a hard time. There's a target looking thing when you cast your rod, and you need to align it with the object that you want to catch, whether it's a fish or an item. When you click there, a minigame will appear on top where you need to put your mouse in the direction of the arrow. I don't know if it's my mouse sensitivity, but this might be easier with a controller. Using a mouse, it was quite difficult for me to keep my cursor on the arrow, so I did not like fishing in this game. I did try it again with the lower sensitivity and it was a little bit better for me. After I found his belongings, the fisherman wanted me to build him a nice hut so that he can be a part of my village. It was difficult to find a place where I can put the foundations of the fisherman's hut because some areas of the map said that the incline was too steep, but I finally settled on this spot. In order to upgrade it each step of the way, I needed more materials. I don't know where I can see what materials I need from the building itself, but I just based it off on the quest details. The quest said that I needed to gather 50 wood for boards, so I just went with that. I got distracted because I saw Grandpa had a new quest for me, and it was to breed cows. So I went to my cow pen, looked at the cow plaque, and I saw a breeding tab. It looked like I can combine different cows together in order to breed something new. You can pick any two parents and wait. It says that I have 10 hours before a new baby cow will appear, so I just left it for now and continued gathering the boards I needed for the fisherman's hut. After I finally upgraded it into a proper hut, the fisherman told me that there are scattered boat pieces all around the island and I should get them for him. Then, Rads gave me some items that can help me track what the villagers and the animals are doing. I haven't figured out what that's for, but I guess it will be helpful in managing my island when I'm off exploring and leaving the upkeep to my villagers, so I think that's a good feature. I found all the boat parts and made my own boat. I was so excited to explore the world because this is a huge difference from the first game. We now have other islands to explore, so I went off on an adventure to go to the desert island. Navigating the sail was quite tricky because I needed to make sure that the wind is picking up my sails so that I can go faster. The desert island was quite far from my own island and it took me a while to get there and there wasn't really anything interesting during the travel. When I reached this new island, Rads and my dog suddenly appeared there too. Here I saw a banker who I tried to invite to my village, but he said that he needed to take care of some things here at the desert island first. If I would help him solve an issue between two siblings and their heritage, the banker would be able to move into my village. Of course, there are also some animal quests on this island, so I'm assuming that each island will have a different villager or two for me to invite back to my town. Before I can invite them, there are some quests that I need to do for both the animals and the NPCs there. I'm thinking that's what the main game loop of the game will be, aside from building the structures in the village itself. Since the animals were closer to me, I started there. The first one I found was a donkey who needed help going to the mines. Then I encountered the first sibling, the miner. This is when I noticed that some of the dialogues, especially on the desert island, still have a placeholder. They were calling me player, not my name that I inputted at the start of the game. The miner wanted help with several tasks. Again, the markers were quite confusing here because my quest with the donkeys was supposed to have a green marker, but there was no green marker on the map. Instead, I just followed the red marker for the main quest for the miner. That's when I started to notice that after you have several quests already, some of the colors of the markers repeat. That's why you have to be careful and you have to disable some of the quests so you don't get confused. I disabled the quests from the first island so I can focus on the ones on the desert island first. After the donkeys found their way to the miner's hut, I talked to them where I saw another placeholder for the generic donkey dialogue. I do get that this is an early access game, but encountering this within my first 3 hours was quite worrisome. I then started clearing out some of the weeds. For this part, I am thankful that I can see some haze coming off of the weeds, so I can easily identify which are weeds and which are bushes and other stuff. However, after digging everything with those kinds of markers, I still needed to shovel up more weeds. After looking around for some time, I discovered that I also needed to dig up some small weeds that did not have the same haze as the big weeds. It also looked like the other small grass, so I had to guess which ones were the weeds in order to finally complete that quest. I also had to catch some mice who were quite challenging to catch. They were extremely fast, disappear into the water, and only a few spawn at a given time. So it took me a while to finally catch all of it and complete all the tasks from the miner. This is where I started noticing the time. It was already midnight, but the sky did not change at all. It turns out I was already on my third day and I didn't even notice it. On the bright side, there's no penalty for not sleeping. But it also makes me wonder because sleeping was a big part of the first game. So I'm not sure why there's no sleeping or even nighttime in this game. I also met the other sister, the Smith, who also had a bunch of quests for me. But I decided to stick with the miner. The miner said that I should follow her to find the heart of the desert. This is when it struck me. I noticed it first with Natalie, but with the miner, it was so much more noticeable how different the NPC's running looks compared to how my character runs. And it was just hilarious. Anyway, she kind of led me to the cave and then she just looked at the entrance and went past it. But after a while, a long while, she realized that we really were meant to go into the cave, so she made a U-turn and led me all the way back to the cave anyway. Let me play the entire clip for you so you have an idea of how long this took. After we were finally in the cave, she said that there are a lot of other valuable things I may find along the way, so I better keep my eyes peeled. There was, in fact, nothing valuable down there, so I just followed her through the bare caves. When we finally reached the heart of it, my character said that there's something red and shiny in that rock. There was no red and shiny thing. The only thing that I could interact with were these gray stones that look like iron ores that I cannot pick up. The miner was saying, "Hey, look, that's the heart. Look, it's glittering." So I just looked at the gray rock and decided to call it quits and stop the game for now. I'll be honest, I felt like I was playing an early alpha or beta build rather than early access. The tutorials need work, early game quests can leave players confused, and important elements are still missing, like a proper day-night cycle or even the ability to craft a bucket for the cow. The villager pathing and placeholder dialogue encountered during my first 3 hours were also worrying. But here's the thing, this game has so much potential. The minigames are genuinely fun, building your village and having villagers help with tasks is awesome, the visuals are gorgeous, and the map is huge with multiple islands to explore. It honestly seems like it could be a huge improvement over the first game once it's polished. I cannot recommend it at its current state unless you are a big fan of the series and you don't mind helping the devs turn this game into the gem that it can become. I've already sent some of my feedback to the developers because I genuinely want to see this succeed. They're planning a full release in 2026 and I'll definitely revisit it then to see how it's evolved. Let me know what you think of this series and if you're planning to support the development. In the meantime, check out my favorite early access games that will be releasing into their 1.0 version in 2026.